BookTube of August, brought to you from the sea! The wide, wide ocean. We're gonna do July and August this month because I didn't read a lot in July because of exams, and I didn't read a lot in August either because I did a lot of traveling. Cue montage now. Take you around a little bit now because change is good, and I need to find a tripod. The first book that I read last month, the only book that I read last month, was The Thief by Whalen Turner, and it's the first book in the Atolia series. I'm not sure exactly what the series is called, but something with Atolia. It's about a thief who gets released from prison in order to find a stone which allows the king to inherit the throne to a neighboring country, which he's always been wanting to take. And it seems like a hopeless odyssey because apparently nobody knows where the stone is and it's been lost for ages. But apparently the king's advisor does, so he takes the famous thief with him and they go on a quest. I have to say the first half of the book was kind of slow and kind of boring, straightforward, because they just keep on walking and walking and walking. Not a lot happens, and it's not just the advisor and the thief, there's also some soldiers and guards, and you get to know the characters a lot, but like nothing really happens. There's not even a lot of world building. It's just like they're walking through the desert and nobody's getting murdered or getting bullied or getting into trouble or whatever. They're literally just walking the whole entire time. But once you reach the point where the story turns, it actually gets really, really good. I have to say I wasn't like 100% happy with the book, but I can say I see a lot of potential in the book. You know, I can see a lot of potential for the whole entire series, and I definitely want to keep on reading because I'm sure that the series will head in a really interesting way. So if you like YA fantasy with kind of like a medieval feel and with kind of a quest feel, I would recommend it. The next book that I read was the first book that I read in August, and it was one of my most highly anticipated books of this year, and it was Armada by Ernest Cline, who, as probably a lot of you know, wrote Ready Player One, which I really, really, really liked, and which I think is a very universal book, so you can recommend it to a lot of people throughout a lot of ages, and you don't have to like video games in order to understand and to love the book. Armada, on the other hand, is also science fiction, but it rides more along the lines of Space Invaders and Star Trek, so I kind of understand why a lot of people liked Armada less. Obviously, a lot of people probably went into the book with high expectations after Ready Player One, and Ready Player One was really good, so I think it's very hard to match. But for me, Armada was kind of separate because I didn't really compare these two books, even though it had Ernest Cline's typical video game writing style in it, and it was funny and humorous. The story was so different that I didn't really find a need to actually compare the two. Armada follows a boy named Zach who is really good at playing video games, and one of the video games that he plays a lot is called Armada, which is a game in which the human race controls drones in order to fend off an alien invasion. So he has had a kind of troubled childhood while growing up. His dad died young. His dad was also a very heavy video game player, and he was also a person who had a lot of conspiracy theories, one of which was that the government actually built the video game industry to train the human race in fending off an alien invasion without telling them that they were being trained. So obviously you can see where the book is heading, and it's very science fiction heavy, very kind of space opera heavy, but I personally really enjoyed it. It wasn't 100% perfect. I think a lot of things were kind of obvious. A lot of the reasonings and character developments weren't as well done as, for example, Ready Player One, but I still found it very fun, and I think that if you like Ready Player One, I would definitely recommend it because it has a different tone, so it's not like you're reading the same story over again. And you know, if you enjoy Ernest Cline's writing style, then go for it. The lighting here is making weird waves. Let's just pretend I'm underwater. But I found this beautiful backdrop, so I thought I would be stupid not to use it. The third book that I read this month, actually the second book that I read this month, but the third book in this video, is actually The Chimes, which is a book that is currently on the long list for the Man Booker Prize. And it is a The thing that caught me was, firstly, it has a gorgeous cover, and secondly, it has a really kick-ass synopsis. It's about England in the future where people can't make memories anymore, and the only way how they can remember things for a short period of time is through music. Their whole entire day is dedicated to music. They wake up and music plays. They go to sleep and music plays. They try to find their way and they whistle a tune. It's about a farmer's boy named Simon, and his parents both die, and his mom tells him to go to London and to find a certain lady. He finds the person his mother recommended, but she doesn't really accept him, so Simon is there all alone in a town, and he gets picked up by this pact. And as Simon is with the pact, he realizes that nothing is as it seems, the society isn't as it seems, and he also has some special abilities. In the very beginning, the world building is really confusing. It uses a lot of musical terms, and I have had plenty of musical theory in my life, and even I was slightly confused, so I think with someone who doesn't really have musical knowledge, we will spend a lot of time googling all these terms, because all the descriptions, all the adjectives that you usually would use, like fast, quick, surprising, whatever, it's all substituted by musical terms. On one hand, that is really fascinating for me because it's like all encompassing. On the other hand, you know, it's very unfamiliar, so it takes you some time to get into it. And the beginning is also kind of slow. It takes Simon a while to get into the pack and to develop his personality. Like for the first 30 pages, I thought Simon was a girl. Just saying, because nobody ever mentioned his gender. But once you reach about a third of the book, it gets really good. What I really loved was the development of the characters and their relationship. It was very organic, it was very natural. All the friendships, all the trust, all the distrust, everything just flowed very naturally, and I really loved that about the book. And I really liked that it was actually just a standalone dystopian, which we rarely ever get. And it was such a refreshing change from all the dystopian books. So if you want to read something different, I highly recommend this book. But please don't give up in the beginning because it is a little bit tough to get through. But once you're through the first 50 to 70 pages, it gets really good. The next one I read was The Queen of Tearling, and I heard a lot of mixed reviews about this book, which was also why I was kind of hesitant to pick it up. But I read it, and it's some really good fantasy. Really good. If you like something along Finnegan of the Rocks, like the Lumitar Chronicles, I think you would enjoy this book because it has a similar feel. It has a lot of like destiny and prophecy and kingdoms and evils to it. It's about a girl named Kelsey, and she's the heir to the throne of the Tearling, and she went into hiding when she was an infant, and she was taught to become the next queen. And at the age of 19, her Queen's Guard came and picked her up, and she's basically on her way to become the Queen of Tearling. Obviously there's a very reluctant regent already in place who doesn't want to give up his throne or his power, and there are a lot of different political intrigues going on, which is something that I personally really enjoy. A lot of fights over power and hierarchy, and Kelsey has to prove herself amongst this mass of vultures and people who just want to take the power from her. I really enjoyed this book and I can't wait to read the rest of the series. The only problem that I had was that everything came to Kelsey a little bit too easy. Even though she was educated to become a queen, she starts out as a very naive girl and she has to learn a lot about the world, but everything that she does works out a little bit too well for her from the very get-go. So I kind of missed the struggle a little bit in that. Otherwise, it is a great first book. So this was the BookTube Club of August. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tell me what you read this month, and see you next time. Bye bye!